Okay, so back to where I was at. Basically, me and my sister's dynamic, age dynamic, with her being 4 years older than me. Okay, so now I'm gonna say my sister, maybe at the age of 8 years old, she had to step into the role of being a full-time mom. Now I'm gonna say for any child, that would be some really big shoes to fill. I think that would take away a lot from you. That would take a lot from a child. That's a pretty big task to be asked of any child. So I do love my older sister for that. I applaud her because I don't think that there's very many people that can step into that role of having to be a mom at such a young age and while they're a child. So I applaud my older sister for that. So my older sister actually became my second mom. So I was raised with my older sister not being so much so my sister, even though I knew and I understood she was my sister. It was more the relationship that we had. She was my mom, or should I say my fill-in mom or my second mom, because she was given the permission, to make sure that I was doing the right things. She would clothe me. She would clothe me. She would dress me. She would make sure that I took care of my uh, responsibilities. She was basically she cooked for me. She fed me, not just me, but my younger brother. And as I got older, I kind of took on the responsibility too. But my younger brother, and she made sure that the house was taken care of while my mom was off at work. So in that dynamic of my older sister taking on being a sister mom, I'm gonna say that it was pretty hard for her, and I was the one that took the grunt of it. Um, I was the one that, if things didn't fall into place or things did not work out, then I would be the one that would take the trouble for it from my older sister, or I was the one that I could not go against or try my older sister because of the fact that she was the mom at that time. So I couldn't go against her. So I pretty much learned how really quick at a very young age how to be very quiet so that I wouldn't be in the way. I learned how to be very submissive so that I could be agreeable and I wouldn't get into any trouble. I also learned how to be very what's the best word for it? I just did what I was supposed to do. Um, I didn't cause any trouble. People, anyone that you asked about when I was a child, I was the quietest child you could ever meet. I didn't cause trouble, or I didn't intentionally cause any trouble because I knew that I could not be the one to cause the trouble, because if I caused the trouble, then I would get in trouble. There would be a lot of trouble, so I did not want to make trouble. So that's where this whole dynamics started. Is that I just was quieted as a child because of the dynamics of my older sister taking on being a mother at as when she was a child. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna put this in here. This was like really funny to me as I got older and I got into high school and I started to hang out with girls my age who had older sisters. I would hear them talking about challenging their older sisters, and in my head I would think to myself, how in the world are they challenging their older sisters? Who does this? Because as I stated, I grew up with my older sister being my mom, my second mom. So she was my sister mom. So I was just like, there's no way in this world I would get away with being able to challenge my older sister like that. I would never do that to my older sister. So it was just a peculiar thing to me to hear my friends talk about how they challenged their older sister, how they would go against their older sisters. And now as I'm older, I'm understanding why, because they actually had a sister dynamic which I didn't have when I was younger. And so going back to that, so that's where the first half of my story is going to come into place, is just remembering that because I had a sister mom who was a child being a mom, then there was a lot put on me, and a lot of trauma related to that aspect. of having to really just be silenced and kind of, should I say, not being able to be who I really was as a child, not being able to express myself the way that I really needed to express myself as a child. I'm going to also say that in my family dynamics, because I was the middle child and because I was so quiet, my siblings, they really did. They would tell me all the time that you're so weird. You're not just weird, but you're so soft. You're so they would even call me sneaky. That was the biggest thing for me. I was like, I never did anything, but my siblings swore to God I was sneaky, and it was all because I was quiet. And it has to do a lot with quiet people are usually perceived as being, sneaky or doing something because people can't really read them. But also, in that aspect, I did keep to myself a lot. So that was the thing my siblings would say a lot of times. You're sneaky. You're weird. You're gonna get walked all over. So you need to get a backbone. You need to get better about that. So I kind of grew up with those things in the back of my head, the back of my mind. Uh, just really not being too much where I was outgoing or I would push the limits too much. Uh, so that's a little bit of my backstory.